Hey guys, welcome to Rhino 1. This is your very first introduction kind of video, and the first thing I like to do is introduce you guys to the Rhino Interface. So once you launch Rhino, you will be given 4 viewports. So this one is as if you are, this is called a top view, so if you're kind of up in the air looking straight down at your table, that will be your view. So let me first kind of draw a cube so you can see. And then this view would be if you're standing here looking that way. That would be the front view, or this face right in here. And then the right view would be if you're standing on the right side of your object looking this way. And that would be actually this view right here. And of course your perspective view is kind of your 3D view. So basic navigation, if you right click on your mouse, you can move your view around. So on the, I guess we're going to call it orthographic view or 90-degree views, top view, you can move it around. Front view, again, your right click, you can click on a window, highlight it, and then you can move. So once you click on a window, it activates a window, and you know that you are on that particular window when you see that thing turn kind of bluish color. So if I click on this, the perspective will turn. Now in perspective, your right mouse button will actually allow you to rotate and pivot. And then if you hold down Shift and then click your mouse button, it'll allow you to pan. So if you don't hold down Shift, it'll rotate, and if you hold down Shift, it'll allow you to pan. And of course, if you're going to zoom in and out of your model, you just use your scroll button. And again, here, you just use your scroll button. That's your basic navigation strategy in Rhino. And before we start on our first project, which is kind of series of tables and chairs, I like you guys to change your units. So on the command line, which is up here, just type unit. Oops, sorry, my mistake is units. And by default, it's going to be in millimeters. You want to change that to feet or inches. In this case, we'll just leave that at inches for now, because we'll be modeling smaller projects. And that's it, really. So now whenever I draw a line, let's say, and I say make that line 12, it'll make that line, that line is 12 inches. 36, and that line is 36 inches. My units are going to be in inches. And so let's first make our first table. So for now, I don't really need you guys to worry about the size of the table and things like that. We just want to navigate. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you're hitting the standard tab, and you'll see that the tools change. So depending on which tab I am using, some of these tools will change. And then these are just kind of your standard tools, which has some of all the tools that we use the most from all of these other tabs. So you can see these quickly. So just come down to the standard for now, which has tools from all the different functions. And we're going to just use a regular box. And we're just going to click and click. And then if you notice that on my third click on my 3D screen, the box is getting thicker. Well, I can move my mouse to the perspective screen and zoom in and kind of make a box that's kind of a tabletop. And if you notice on my front view, this red line represents my 0, or I guess the floor. So I want my box or the top of my table to be a little bit elevated. So I'm simply going to my front view, click on this object, and then you'll see this thing called a gumball. And if you don't see it, you'll find it here. So if that's off, if you don't see it, you want to make sure that you want to click gumball. And then from here, you're just going to raise it up to a certain height. Again, I'm not really worried about the height at the moment, but just teaching you guys how to draw a box. And then I'm going to come back to my top view, and I'm going to make a leg table of a certain size, right? And I'm going to go back to the front view here, and I'm going to make my legs. Actually, let's make the legs a little taller, which means that I'm going to move my box up a little higher. And then come back here to my top view, and then move my legs, to the corner of my table here. So what I want to do also is here on my top view, I can go into my wireframe so I can see through. And then for now, we're going to just move it. So moving things in Rhino is actually quite handy with the gumball. So if I hold down this red arrow, or if I hover over the red arrow, I can move it just in the red axis, which is the x-axis. If I hover over the green arrow, I can just move it exclusively on the y-axis. If I hold on to this grid, I can move it kind of freely, right? So I'm going to just, for now, move it there. And then let's just kind of make sure that these things are snapped together. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go to my move command. Instead of just moving it freely like this, I'm going to just go to my move command, which is MOVE, enter. And then I want to make sure that I have my object snap on. And when I click on this object snap, I could click on endpoints. That's probably what I want, and I'll probably keep intersection on first. So again, go to move. So I'll snap on that and snap on that. So now I know my table is right on the leg, right? So then I'm going to come back here. I'm going to select this. I'm going to make a copy of it. And making copies in Rhino, there's a couple of things. You can actually go to the copy command. So go copy, C-O-P-Y, and then I can, now that I have my snap function on, which is endpoints or intersections, I can click on maybe that endpoint and snap it to that endpoint. And there you go. But an interesting thing happened there. It snapped from the top of my box to the top of my table. So this leg is actually kind of cockeyed, and you can see it on my right side here. So again, I'm going to go to my move command, and then snap that point to that point, and that gives me my legs right there. Another way to copy would be to do this, drag my item, but before I let go of my mouse, I'm going to tap the Alt key. You should be able to just copy. So I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to do what we call a crossing selection. Oh boy, we're doing a lot of different stuff. So I have two legs, that are kind of in this view. You can't see it because I'm looking directly at it. So in order for me to select both, I'm going to click from the bottom left to the upper right, right? That's called a crossing selection. So whatever that box touches, it selects everything. So I'm going to do a crossing selection, and as I move, I'm going to tap the Alt button, which I get a little plus. You can see it on the screen, and I'm going to do that. Before I unclick, I'm going to go to my move command. That way I can just snap corner to corner. So now I have a tabletop, and if I come to my shaded view, and you can see it. Now don't worry about the size again, it's just kind of visual for now. And I'd like you guys to create this tabletop, and then we're going to create some chairs. So let's go into creating some chairs. I'm going to start off with a simple box, a couple of legs. Maybe we'll do some round legs. So if you click on the little triangle, you can do a cylinder. And come here to this view. So you'll see that it's kind of snapping all the time. So if you turn it off, then it won't snap to other things. And let's make the chairs about that big. It's kind of on top. And I'm going to be just close. It's okay for now. We're going to get more accurate at another time. back, hit Alt, take that chair, hit Alt, and I'm going to make a chair back. So chair back, we're just going to simply rotate. So what's really good about this gumball gizmo is that you have your arrows that allows you to move left and right and undo, but you also have this arc button here. So if you click that, it'll allow you to rotate your object. So I can click that and then rotate my my object, deselect, which resets my gumball, then move it back, and then I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, just kind of give me a chair that kind of looks something like that. Then I'm going to go to the top view here, select all of this, hit Alt, select all of this, Alt, maybe rotate it. Now if you want to rotate at a certain degree, like for instance if I click on this and it'll just do a free rotate, but if I click on click and drag, but if I click on the actual gizmo, it'll allow me to input what I want to rotate. So I want to rotate that 180 degrees, and then maybe move it underneath here. I'm going to take one of these chairs, copy it, click on the rotate tab, move that 90 degrees, 180. While this is selected, I will type mirror in this case, and then it's asking me right down here what is my mirror plane. I can just click and push down the shift button, which allows me to draw a straight line or ortho line. So I'm going to hold down shift and click the other button, and then now I've mirrored it, and I'm going to move these. So right now you guys learned how to create some basic primitive objects, move things, copy things, rotate things, snap things, and this will be the introduction. I'd like you guys to put some stuff on top of the table, just random things. Go ahead and make yourself a little ball, if you will, and then take that ball and place it on top using the 3D stuff. And I'll put a couple of table, items, more cubes, a little bit of plates, maybe some sticks, whatever you guys need to do. But this exercise is really just to kind of get you familiar with Rhino and creating some basic objects, but more specifically moving things, views, and things like that. Alright, let me see, a couple of other things. If you want to kind of focus on one view here, you can just double click on this item, and then it'll go into what we call a full screen mode. You can double click again, it'll come back out. You can come back here, double click that, and double click back out. You can readjust, resize the view cubes or the 4 quadrants. The shortcut key, instead of double clicking, would be, I think, Control M, and Control M toggles you back and forth to the views. So hopefully that's enough for you guys to create this thing. Please don't forget to watch the other videos on this module before you start, as they'll go through some of the topics that I've just covered, but maybe a little bit more in depth. So we'll see you guys on the next video.